is to supercross at Daytona, as Joe Montana is to Super Bowls. No rider had ever won the granddaddy of supercrosses 3 times until Jeff. He defeated Jeff Ward in '89. John Michelle Bale in '90. And again, Jeff Ward in '91. 3 consecutive wins. Can he make it 4?
I believe he can. It's a long race, a lot longer than any other supercross. We're out there for probably a good 30-some minutes, so that helps out. I'm in good physical condition. I have a lot of stamina, and I just like Daytona.
Well, Stanton certainly sounds confident. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Evans, and welcome to the birthplace of Supercross. It all began right here in Daytona back in 1971. Now, Stanton and his pals are in for some gooey going because all last night it rained. In fact, it has rained here until about 10 minutes ago. We're finally starting to get some Florida sunshine. That may be an advantage for Stanton. Let's remember, 1 year ago, he won his 3rd title here at Daytona, also on a very wet, mucky, muddy racetrack. Now, if you polled those fans that are filing in here right now as to who might stop Stanton at 3, I think it would be unanimous. It would be the man who's right now with Brock Yates.
Well, Steve, I'll tell you what, if Stanton's going to beat anybody, he's going to have to beat the man standing right beside me, 19-year-old Damon Bradshaw, who's won the last 5 AMA Supercrosses, but comes in here into Daytona having won some of the smaller classes, Damon, but you haven't really done too well with the 250 motorcycles, and I'm sure you're looking to do a lot better today.
Yeah, I sure hope so. I've had some bad luck here on the 250. You know, we've had bad weather a couple years. You know, no excuses. Jeff Stanton's deserved, you know, what he's got. And, you know, hopefully today I can change that. I'd like to, you know, go out of here with a good finish, hopefully a win. But my goal is to be on the podium. And, you know, there's going to be some other tough competitors out there. There's 4 or 5 guys that can win this race.
Damon, we had a lot of rain, a lot of nutty weather for the last couple of days, but now it's cleared off real well. Is the racetrack going to be heavy after the heats in the main or not?
I think it's probably going to be pretty wet. It's going to be rutty. You know, it's hard for the water to drain off this course because it's so flat, and there's nowhere to put the water. So it's probably going to be a little wet, but we'll have to deal with it.
I know you can handle it.
I hope so. Thank you.
Okay, Damon Bradshaw. And now for more on this unique racetrack and the conditions that riders are going to face, let's go to our broadcast partner, Gary Gerald.
Well, Brock, the weather has been a complicating factor, no question. Heavy rain all last night, all this morning, but just in the last few minutes now, the sun is shining. What kind of conditions are these riders going to have to compete upon here at Daytona? The circuit itself is a major challenge. It's unique among supercross circuits because normally the riders compete in a stadium or many times an indoor arena where they truck in the clay and the sand and they compact it and make a very hard, confined racing surface. This is much more like a natural terrain circuit. It's the longest that the riders compete on, and you have to contend with a Daytona sand, now turned to mud. You see the deep furrows and the ruts that develop. It's going to take a tremendous amount of strength and stamina, a Herculean effort for some rider to win here in the prestigious Daytona event.
Well, thank you, Gary. You know, the course designer, Gary Bailey, estimated this course at 3/8 of a mile, Brock Yates. I think it's longer than that, but it's too gooey to crawl around with a tape.
One way or the other, though, Steve, as Gary says and as Stanton says, it's going to take an enormous amount of physical conditioning to win this thing. That is a major factor. Even in a heat race like this is coming up, you got to be strong, young, and ready to race.
And that perfectly describes Jeff Stanton there on his Honda.
Well, one of the guys that definitely wants to put Stanton away if he can is Mike LaRocco out of South Bend, Indiana. Mike won the first Supercross of the season at the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, Florida, before, of course, Damon Bradshaw went on his 5-race tear.
And here's another tough little customer from California. That is Jeff Emig. Emig aboard a Yamaha. In fact, Honda does not have the power of numbers that it often does in this heat race. There's a lot more Yamahas, Kawasaki's, and Suzuki's collectively than Hondas.
But Honda has Stanton, and that counts for about 10. They got a stretch of about 50 yards of wet grass, Steve, before they hit the actual course when the gates come down.
The start is everything in Supercross. Let's see who got the whole shot. It is number 25 on a Suzuki, Todd DeHoop out of Hudsonville, Michigan. But they're all pretty well bunched together, and miraculously, apparently, they're all going to stay upright through this first setup. Boom! I lied about that.
A couple of riders go down, but they'll get going again as we go back to the lead. That is Sean Kalos out of Phoenix, Arizona, challenging the 25 rider of Todd DeHoop. Right behind Kalos, Mike LaRocco, and then Stanton in the 4th place. Stanton got a pretty good start, Steve, but DeHoop and Kalos got through that mob scene better than anybody.
Stanton had a conservative start, but here he comes on the outside, the red bike. He is third, he is second. Jeff Stanton is the leader in half a lap.
Enormous power on that Honda, and a great ride by Stanton. He just blew over those jumps. Everybody else was kind of taking it easy over him, and Stanton just blew them all.
Well, they all practiced earlier, but that was really just to learn the layout, because between practice and this moment, they've gone out and completely rearranged all the dirt, so there's no ruts where there were ruts before and vice versa.
Looks like Stanton's style is just to ride that motorcycle as hard as he can. He's counting on physical conditioning, no doubt about it. Leg strength on Stanton must be like a NFL tackle, Steve. He is awesome.
Well, he is, and he doesn't appear to pace himself, even though he knows if he goes directly to the main here, he's still got that big 20-lapper to come, and that's the one that'll wear you down. And here's for the fourth position, HF M25, Todd DeHoop.
Well, this is where it gets tense back here, because only 5 of these riders will transfer to the main Supercross. So there's a lot of pressure on everybody here as Stanton continues to open out his lead. But between Kalos, Larocco, DeHoop, Emick, those guys are pushing hard to finish at least in the top 5.
And imagine your body being beat up like this, but your eyes have to stay trained on that course, trying to find the quick way around and the smooth way around more than anything else to stay upright on these machines.
All right, Sean Kalos out of Phoenix, Arizona, the youngster beginning to challenge now. There you see him, and a 35 on that motorcycle moves up, and he's going to start to chase Stanton a little bit, Steve.
Well, here on American Sports Cavalcade, we've been following Sean Kalos since he was about 14 years of age when we come to the races out in Carlsbad, California. Boy, has he ever matured.
He sure has, and here's the man that fell victim to him. Mike Larocco falls back to 3rd place after Kalos banzai charge by him.
Very impressive early performance by Sean Kalos. There we see our leader, Jeff Stanton, on the red #2 Honda. Stanton gets a little wide, comes up an awful lot of speed in the one. Look on the inside, Sean Kalos, the 19-year-old, and the crowd roars.
Boy, did Kalos get by him or what? He just blew by him, but here comes Stanton, and Stanton shoves Kalos into the hay bales there as they go over that jump. Kalos had an inside line, but got cut off, just pinched into the infield, got on the grass, and down he goes.
You know, that was a beautiful maneuver by Stanton. They weren't really going fast enough for it to hurt Sean Kalos, but I guarantee you Kalos learned something from that one.
Well, he had the inside line, and as you said earlier, it was a wide turn for Stanton that got him in trouble to begin with and lost him the lead for just a matter of a second or two. Here we see it right here. That's Stanton on the outside using raw power. That Honda just drive ahead of Kalos, who gets on the grass. You see some hay bales here. He had to get off the throttle, and it was too late. He gets into the hay bales and loses it, Steve.
And Stanton just about lost it himself. He's riding a bucking horse there. Whoa!
Well, he was way off on the edge of the racetrack as well as he was drag racing Kalos down into that little bump section. As we can see here, it's pretty flat, so the power of that Honda works, but look at Kalos. He's got to get out of it right there. Too late, over that bale, and almost over the handlebars as well.
Kalos tried a little flat track maneuver there, but it wasn't quite enough. He just got pinched off by a rider with a heck of a lot more experience. 35 Sean Kalos, he's still out there. He's up, little bloody hip, no worse for wear.
Oh, here's the leader now has opened up considerably. Jeff Stanton has a big lead. Backed off maybe a little bit on that jump. He was just showing all kinds of air earlier in the race, but he's got plenty of room now.
Well, #7, Michael Larocco, running in the 2nd position. He's not too anxious to pass Stanton after he saw what Jeff did before Sean Kalos. We'll be back to Daytona.
Motocross first came to this country in the late 60s, and up until the early 70s, European machines were the bikes of choice. This, a 1973 Rickman, beautifully restored, 250cc bike. The engine happens to be Spanish-built. That's a Montesa 2-stroke motor. Now, what was the first Japanese company to dominate in motocross, any class? Wasn't Honda, wasn't Suzuki, Yamaha, or Kawasaki. It was, ladies and gentlemen, Hodaka. This was a gorgeous little super rat, 100cc. Everybody had one in that class until the middle 70s when guys started de-stroking 125 Hondas. This bike was then too fragile. It is beautifully restored by Eric Crabb.
Great collection of old motorcycles all over Daytona this weekend. As we go back to action, that is Stanton. Right behind him, Mike Larocco. Jeff Emming in 3rd. Todd DeHoop 4th. Jeremy McGrath riding in 5th spot out of Marietta, Georgia. So we've got 6 laps completed, 2 more to go. Brad McElroy out of Florida riding in the 6th spot. Jeff Pistano. Sean Kalos, who challenged for the lead. Remember him. in 9th. Carl Vanacourt out of Quebec, and Doug Dubach in 10th.
And look at Jeff Stanton, number 2, fly. Here on the next to the last lap, he puts a lap on number 880 of Florida's own Kevin Foley. Foley just trying to survive this one now.
There you can see LaRocco back there in 2nd spot, but bogged down a little bit there in this increasingly heavy track. This racetrack is not drying out all that fast, Steve. I'm sure it will be by the Supercross, but it's still taking a lot of strength. Stanton takes the white flag, one final round here in this very difficult and very long track at Daytona.
And here we see the green bike, number 7 of Mike LaRocco. You can see how far behind Stanton he is. And look at the air for Jeff Stanton on that red Honda. And you know, Brock, these motorcycles, the companies have poured so much money into R&D. Everybody's worked so hard on them that they're very close in power and in handling. The big difference in Supercross is the rider. The bikes are kind of like a hockey stick. You have to have one to play, and there's second again. That's LaRocco on the number 7 Cal.
No question about it. That there's your leader, and there's LaRocco still hanging in there. He's not falling back all that much, but he can't make up much distance on Stanton, who's just showing enormous skill and strength here, and just great poise as he heads apparently for a definite starting spot in the Supercross. No question about that unless he falls.
Well, number 7, Mike LaRocco, not only putting on a good show for the fans, but when it comes main event time, he wants to be able to go very, very fast. He takes a chance here of maybe falling off, having enough riders pass him to push him out of that direct path to the main. But everybody's getting a kick out of how hard LaRocco is trying to catch Stanton.
He sure is. There's a Stanton right there, showing all kinds of poise, but the racetrack, as you can see some muddy spots on it. It's slowly drying out. I would imagine by the time we go to the main Supercross, we're going to see a pretty dry track, but that still is going to give Stanton an advantage because he's got so much body strength.
And the crowd really behind Jeff Stanton, wanting to see history made here, wanting to see him win 4 in a row. And he's well on his way with a heat race victory here at Daytona. Heat number 1 belongs to that man. And that man, Jeff Stanton, appears fresh as a daisy. Not so the rider on the number 17 by Jeremy McGrath. He's a little bit weary, but he's still trying to hold on for that 5th and final transfer spot to the main event. It appears that he will do that, and to his relief, there is the checkered flag. Okay, Jeremy McGrath, number 17, finishes 5th. Let's go down to Gary Gerald with our winner.
Well, the man of the moment in the opening heat is Jeff Stanton, the man who's had great success at this racetrack. Tell us about the conditions. I know everybody was a little concerned after the heavy rain.
Yeah, it's actually really muddy, muddier than I've ever seen it out here at Daytona. It's got a really hard base to it, and it's really slippery on top, so it's very hard to control, but felt good in the heat race.
You've got yourself positioned now for the main event. Will this track improve if the sun stays out, or will it be better at main event time?
Maybe a little bit, but it's so saturated right now, it'd take a miracle right now. It's like I said, the base is so wet for like 6 to 8 inches. What you see is what you're going to get for the main event.
Well, he's primed and he's ready to go after number 4. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Brock?
Good hard ride, Mike. What was the racetrack like?
It's real wet. We had a series of downpours, between practice and our heat race, and the track got a lot wetter, and I think most of us out there just trying to get some more practice.
Well, it's going to run in a little bit. What do you think it's going to be like for the final?
It should be good. I'm afraid it's going to be a little more one line than it would have if it was dry, but hopefully there'll be some lines out there that have some good racing.
Good job. You got behind Stanton a little bit. You had about 5 or 6 bikes, and you just couldn't seem to make it up.
Well, I could, but the wrist was bad and everything, and it's just a qualifier, so I'm going to save it for the main.
Okay, go get him.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Well, the consensus of opinion there is we won't be needing the water truck. Here's the official finish. Jeff Stanton on the Honda, number 2. Mike LaRocco right behind him on the Kawasaki, number 7. Then Jeff Emmick, top of the hoop. And Jerry McGrath with that final transfer spot. And Sean Kalos never completely recovered from that encounter with Stanton. He finishes in the number 8 spot on the 35 bike. Well, he may be back in his truck now, but you can bet that Damon Bradshaw, number 4, Mooresville, North Carolina, was a very interested spectator in that first heat and didn't like what he saw. Stanton as strong as ever here at Daytona.
Motorcycle you definitely will not see on the jumps here at the Daytona Supercross today. This is a beautifully restored 1938 Indian. inline, air-cooled, straight four-cylinder motorcycle from the golden age when Harley-Davidsons and Indians ruled the world, Steve.
Well, here's a guy who probably won't be ruling much today. That's Stephen Bobbing, 269. He's really a pro-am rider from Norcross, Georgia, in against the heavyweights, the full-time factory pros. Steve is ready for heat number 2, and so is the defending Supercross champion, Jean-Michel Bayle from France, now living in Redondo Beach, California, on the mountain.
Also in this very competitive field, Jeff Matasevich, Anaheim Hills, California, on board a Kawasaki. Jeff currently sitting 8th in the Supercross standings as we come into Daytona Beach.
And Mike Kudrowski, Acton, California, on his Kawasaki. He led the 1990 Supercross points right up to the very end of the year and was nosed out of the victory.
So he'll carry the number 3 on his Kawasaki motorcycle as the field gets ready. Remember now, the top 5 go to the main. Everybody else going to have to fight their way into this final.
All riders intently staring at that gate. It drops. On the inside, Steve Bobbing. He's just going to go wide and watch this deal. A lot of ice and not much real estate. Oh, and they're down 1, 2, 3 riders minimum down. 4 now. They may need the scuba squad to get this thing untangled, Brock.
Well, that's 44 Kip Sandel out of Sedalia, Colorado. Todd Sinclair went down, and also a couple of other riders we just couldn't see because of the flying mud. But everybody backed up, restarted, and underway again.
And Mike Craig, El Cajon, California, number 59. He is the leader, but charging hard is Matasevich and Jean-Michel Bayle.
Behind him, Larry Brooks out of El Cajon, one of the good riders in this series. But there you see the number 9 of Matasevich riding hard over those jumps. But right now, it's Mike Craig out of El Cajon leading it. And I'll tell you, Steve, how many great riders have come out of that town.
Oh, unbelievable. The hotbed of motocross, certainly in Southern California, due to its proximity to the famous Carlsbad course. And there is Mike Craig, the leader, setting up for this tricky little turn. Behind him comes second place Jeff Matasevich, then Jean-Michel Bayle on the red Honda. Bayle has a problem on the outside, and the inside comes the white bike flying through to take third. That is Larry Brooks.
Great pass by Brooks. In fact, that's the same place that Sean Kalos got by Stanton. And Brooks now challenging Matasevich for second place.
So Jean-Michel Bayle has dropped back to third. Oh, Bayle is back. He's around Larry Brooks. Pays him off quickly.
So Brooks, just like Kalos, had a moment of glory, but in this case, Bayle got right by him again, and it now is Brooks trying to do the catch-up. But that was a great pass by Brooks for a moment there.
And still a terrific race between Matasevich, number 9, and 1, Jean-Michel Bayle. Matasevich running in second, Bayle now back in that third position. And let's remember the rules are the same here. 8 laps, top 5 to the main.
There you see Bayle on the red Honda. Right behind him, Brooks, trying to come back for more. There is Matasevich on the 9. There's Bayle, and there's Brooks. Brooks not giving up by any means. Boy, he had a great pass there. But now, this is a real slow part of the racetrack. There's Brooks disappearing. You see Bayle in the air, and then Matasevich. Here comes Brooks. Great race here for second, third, and fourth.
And look at the style of number 1, Jean-Michel Bayle. Up on those pegs, letting the motorcycle do the work, letting those shocks take all of the punishment instead of his own knees and elbows.
So there is Bayle. Right behind him, though, Brooks, persistent, just flat, not giving up an inch as he makes his way through that tight corner. That's where he challenged the last time, but not this one.
Right there is Jean-Michel Bayle on the red bike with the yellow helmet, still trying to catch Jeff Matasevich. Matasevich, a tough customer. Larry Brooks on the 30 bike is back in 4th position, so you can see how far back 4th is compared to 2nd and 3rd. And there is the leader, Mike Craig.
And here's a pass Bayle gets by Matasevich for second spot. Got him on that tight 90-degree corner there, and that was enough to get him into second place.
And there is some incentive for Jean-Michel to still try to catch leader Mike Craig. The higher you finish, the better your starting position on the gate for the main event.
Which is absolutely critical, as you said earlier. There's Bayle, right behind him, Matasevich, but moving up a little bit. Good race for the second spot, but suddenly we've also got a new player in here. He is Mike Kudrowski, who has gotten by Larry Brooks for the 4th spot and is moving up through the field. Suddenly, Kudrowski becomes a major player in this race.
He's running bike number 3, and he'd like to be in the 3rd position. Jeff Matasevich on number 9 currently there. Kudrowski closing on him.
Absolutely. There's Kudrowski in that green Kawasaki, and you can see the distance he put on Brooks. and he is reeling in Jeff Matasevich.
Matasevich is just on the edge of control. Look at him on the right-hand side of your screen. He cannot keep pace with Kudrowski. Kudrowski moves in and takes third from number 9, Jeff Matasevich. Had the better line on the racetrack.
Sure did, and he's got some running room, an open track ahead. But look at this. Bale is down on the 1 bike, and he gets restarted, and it's a drag race between him and Kudrowski for second spot.
Well, the only reason Bale was able to hold him up and not lose a position was he didn't lose fire. The engine was still running. Good alert riding on his part. He wasn't down more than about maybe a second. Oh, but here comes Kudrowski now. Kudrowski around Jean-Michel Bale, Kawasaki and Honda duking it out here in Daytona.
Well, Kudrowski had a bad start. He fell way back, and he's just been working his way through the field, but showing all kinds of muscle now as he opens up on Jean-Michel Bale considerably. Just leaving Bale behind right now, and he's got a shot possibly at Craig, who still leads it. Oh, we got a ways to go here at Daytona Beach. Stick around as we watch the charge by Mike Kudrowski.
With wrenches and didn't mind a constant oil stain on the garage floor. This was the fight for you back in 1947, the Triumph 500 Speed Twin. Believe me, it didn't look this good on the showroom floor. Welcome back to Daytona. I'm Steve Evans along with Brock Yates and Gary Gerald, and we're still in this great heat race number 2.
Sure is, and there's 59-year leader Mike Craig right behind him, who is closed in. Mike Kudrowski and number 1 rider Jean-Michel Bale in 3rd place. Jeff Matasevich sits in the 4th. Larry Brooks, who just kind of hangs in there around 5th. Remember now, he's in the transfer spot. Everybody behind him, including Jeff Ward, is going to have to fight their way through another series of preliminaries to get into the big Supercross.
And Jeff Ward says this will be his last year in Supercross, his last appearance at Daytona. And here's the fight for the lead. You see 59, Michael Craig, number 3, Kudrowski pulling right in there, and Jean-Michel Bale. We've got a 3-way dice, Brocker.
Oh, man, look at Kudrowski and Bale go at him. There's your leader, Craig, right behind him, Kudrowski and Bale. But those are the 2 players right now. They are charging.
Let's watch Kudrowski, the number 3 bike, as he moves in on the leader, Michael Craig. Bringing Jean-Michel Bale with him. Yes, indeed, we have a new leader, Kudrowski. And Bale also taking a shot at Mike Craig. Craig, who led from the get-go, is in big trouble now.
He sure is beginning to fall back a little bit. Kudrowski and Bale now are the players in this thing, and they are riding like fools. In fact, there is Kudrowski almost challenged by Bale. There is Bale coming around, a slower rider, but it's Kudrowski right now who is in charge.
You would think they were racing for $100,000 in these heat races instead of positions and the right to be in the main event. This is spectacular Supercross on the toughest course of them all. Nobody really seems to be pacing themselves. At least certainly not Kudrowski and Jean-Michel Bale.
No, absolutely not. A great, great race. There is Bale about 5 or 6 lengths behind Kudrowski, who has led this thing after sitting in the mid-pack for the first opening lap, but now just riding like a fool here.
And Jean-Michel Bale, let's remember, that's the man on the red bike, number 1, the Supercross Series champion from last year. He has fallen once during this contest, or might even be further ahead than he is.
Right. In fact, he made that little bobble, and that was a problem for him. In fact, it was right in that corner as he charges up on Kudrowski, but cannot make it stick. He's about maybe a 1/4 of a second behind him, but that's a big, big lead in this kind of competition.
And on the straightaways between these jumps here, there appears to be one really good line where there's not a lot of bumps. You can get your wheels in it. It's just like a rail into the next turn. If you don't have that line, and Bale has not, well, you have a hard time catching up, which he is.
Kudrowski showing real muscle here as he opens out a little bit. We're heading into the final stages of this race, and it would be apparent, I think, that Kudrowski has all kinds of strength.
They're coming up on some slower traffic, though. Number 191, David Gaylord, is ahead of Kudrowski. Let's see how this plays out. That's Gaylord on the inside with the yellow fender, yellow helmet. Kudrowski around him and Bale around him. No problem there.
All right, the next lap rider, Shane Drew out of Thunder Bay, Ontario. Let's see how the riders handle him. Sometimes they use him as blocking dummies in a way. Oh, look at that. Bale, a terrific pass to take the lead in the middle of that traffic.
That was intelligent riding. The white flag is out. One more lap of this circuit in heat number 2. He saw that guy a long time ago, Brock is up. When I get there, this is what I'm going to do, and he executed perfectly.
All right, here's your last transfer spot. That's the 30 rider, number Larry Brooks, and 23 Ron Titchener. Remember now, one of these guys is guaranteed of a start in this big Supercross. The other is going to have to fight his way up through the consolation.
We have watched Larry Brooks, number 30, ride many, many times, and he's one of the most intelligent riders. Got a good head on his shoulders. He might be saying, let's not beat our body and our motorcycle up too bad. Let's hang on to 5th and then show our stuff in the main event where it really counts.
All right, there is your number 3 rider, Mike Kudrowski, sitting in 2nd place. There is Jean-Michel Bale, who's opened out considerably after that several lap battle with Kudrowski. It looked like the riders were almost even. Now it's Bale moving out into a big, big lead on this final lap.
Well, Bale just didn't win the Supercross Championship last year. He won 8 races in the series, which I believe was a record. So no surprise to see this guy out front, Daytona or anywhere else.
Oh, there is your 2nd place rider, Mike Kudrowski, who has fallen considerably back. I don't know whether he's getting tired, Steve, or what, but Bale right now is in supreme command here.
Watch how he uses his upper body. Look at that, anticipating every bump of the race. Second, he gets the checkered flag. He'll have an excellent starting position for the Supercross final. And here's the race for 5th. Can Larry Brooks hang on to that? Ron Titchener would like to take it away. Titchener on the yellow bike, number 23.
There is Brooks up ahead in the 30, holding out. He's been in that 5th place almost the entire race. Just struggling. He had a bunch of guys go by him, but he has not given up that 5th spot.
Boy, he's got a lot of pressure now. That is Larry Brooks onto that 5th spot. Ron Titchener, number 22. We've got some lap traffic in here. This could work to Larry Brooks' advantage. It might keep Titchener off of his rear fender. Oh, yeah, Larry Brooks will take 5th position, much to his relief, and go directly to that main event. Some of the best heat racing here in Daytona you will ever see in Supercross competition. I know Brock Yates has been enjoying it. He's with the winner.
Jean-Michel, couple of hard falls, but kept on going in a great ride.
Yeah, I make a couple of mistakes. You know, the track is very hard to ride, and you know, it takes a lot of energy to pick up the bike and come back on the race again. But I think I can have a good start in the main and try to win the race.
You going to make any changes in the motorcycle for the final?
No, I'm going to ride like I ride today in the first seat. I'm just going to try my best and try to win the race.
Okay, go get him. Congratulations.
Not even out of breath. Right now, let's go to Gary Gerald.
Well, Mike, you had quite a battle with Jean-Michel back and forth. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I got off to a pretty good start, and it's super muddy out there, and there's only a couple good lines, and we were going through, and finally I found a good line. No one was taking, caught up, got into the lead, and then came up on some lappers, and in the back I took a little bit different turn. It was a little rougher than what Jean-Michel Bell was in, and he got around me. I just had to hang in there for 2nd.
Now, is this going to be the day you get your first ever Supercross win?
Well, I hope so. I'd love to get it here at Daytona. I feel pretty good. My Kawasaki's working good, everything, so I hope so.
All right. Brock?
Well, Gary, I'm with Mike Craig, who ran a first half of the race like a rocket and then seemed to falter a little bit. Was it a motorcycle or was it you?
Well, it's kind of both. You know, from Southern California, like Mike Kudrowski is. This is like really my 3rd big mud race since last year. I rode here and got a really good start. I was happy with that. Had a comfortable lead, and I knew those guys were back there somewhere. I started making a lot of laps, and I'm not that great in mud, but I was giving it all I got and had a lot of fun out there. And
go get him. Good ride up to now.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Mike Craig.
So Mike Craig says it's a disadvantage coming from a drought state. Jean-Michel Bale wins it. Kudrowski, what a nice battle in the 2nd position, followed by Craig Matasevich and Larry Brooks rounding out the top 5. 6 through 10, well, looks like this. Ron Titchener, then Pedersen, Ward, Fisher, and Sirwall. Stay with us. We'll be back to Daytona for heat number 3.
I'm Brock Yates, along with Steve Evans and Gary Gerald, and I'll tell you what, if you come to Daytona for the Supercross, the whole motorcycle week is a rolling museum of great old motorcycles. Some of them here lined up in the infield as we get ready to go with heat number 3, Steve Evans.
And there is Jeff Ward. For a motocross rider, he's an antique. Right at his 30th birthday, and he tells us this will be it. The final year for one of the great riders on his Kawasaki. But to his credit, do not worry about his retirement. Jeffy has done just fine in the financial department.
Absolutely. Swimmers, gymnasts, and motocross riders, they're just about finished in their mid-20s, really. And Jeff Ward has great endurance, and one of the all-time great riders, but as you say, this is his final season.
And here's a man who may inherit those laurels. That is number 4, Damon Bradshaw on his Yamaha. Has won the last 5 Supercross events. Is favored to maybe stop Stanton here at Daytona. But another guy who'll be tough in this heat race is number 5, Guy Cooper on a Suzuki out of Stillwater, Oklahoma.
Absolutely. Cooper ran real well on the 125s last season, finished second in that ranking, and is now ready to move up into these big 250cc bikes.
The start is imminent. Nobody wants to impale themselves on the front of that gate. They wait till they see some sign of it dropping downward. And there it is. The most exciting part of Supercross, I think, are those starts. Guy Cooper had a terrible start, Brock.
He did. He fell way back in that mob scene near the end there, and that's going to be a struggle for Guy Cooper. We got a couple of guys bogged down there, no major problems, so actually a pretty clean start, all things considered. But Guy Cooper's got a long way to make up.
But as predicted, there is number 4, David Bradshaw, front. And the guy that was chasing him went off the course. 111, Stephen Edwards, was running second until he took a detour.
He did. The Belgian rider got it saved pretty good. He was in real trouble for a minute there, but got it all gathered up, and it stays in second place. But look at the young man from North Carolina, Damon Bradshaw, just flying away from everybody.
Oh, yeah, Bradshaw, what a brilliant start he had. Not a bad start for number 38, Michael Jones, either. Jones currently in the 4th spot, followed by Larry Ward, number 10, and Kyle Lewis on the 69 bike. There you see that fight for the 4th position.
And that's a good one between those 4 guys. Remember now, it will be 1 through 5 that transfers to the Supercross. So big incentive here. There's your leader, Damon Bradshaw. You can see the interval there between he and Everett. In the 2nd spot, the Belgian rider trying to make up from a little bobble that he had early in the going. That is the 11 rider. That's Denny Stevenson out of Omaha, Nebraska in 3rd place.
And here's that fight for 4th still. It is 38, Michael Jones hanging on to it. And 10, Larry Ward. Ward would be favored past performances to get around joints at some point here. He's certainly a more experienced rider, followed by 69, Kyle Lewis, and Fred Andrews from Salem, Ohio, the 24 machine.
Well, you can see the racetrack getting a little bit drier than it was. Remember when Stanton ran the first heat, it was just covered with mud and a lot of puddles around it. Most of those puddles have disappeared. As Lewis, look at Kyle Lewis come up and take 5th place.
Yeah, but he's not going to have it very long. Larry Ward has already taken it back again.
So these guys really basically racing under a blanket. All 3 of them, Ward, Lewis, and Andrews, just going at it for that transfer spot.
And here's that race for 4th position again, Michael Jones and Larry Ward. There's more pressure right now in the 4th, 5th, and 6th place riders than there are on the leaders.
Absolutely, because Damon Bradshaw has just said goodbye to everybody at this point. But these riders, they don't want to have to work in those preliminary consolation heats to get into the big event.
You know, Brock, you mentioned part of the course is drying out, and it appears to be, but it's certainly gooey between the jumps, and the base of the jumps and between the ones that are close together. It's still pretty sloppy.
Yeah, it really is. In fact, I noticed actually a couple of puddles. Nobody's going through them because they're offline a little bit, and the water's kind of moved offline. But you can see it's still pretty heavy in that particular corner, especially the slower 180-degree corners on this racetrack.
Okay, again, the race for 5th. Number 10, that is Larry Ward on the yellow machine, followed by Kyle Lewis, number 69. He can hear that raspy exhaust note of Kyle Lewis. He knows he's there. Plus, his mechanic, when he comes by that location, will give him some kind of a sign as to where the other rider is and what he has to do to respond.
But for the most part, in this 8-lap heat race, they are going just as hard as they can go. Unless, of course, they get such a big lead that they can back off a little bit. But even that, you lose your rhythm. You notice the really fast riders, they use a lot of air. They take these jumps just as hard as they can. They just smoke it around this incredible exhibition of physical endurance and conditioning. It always amazes me to watch these guys ride these things.
Well, it's certainly the most physically demanding of all motorsports, and right up in the top 2 or 3 of sports in general.
Oh, absolutely. It's like rodeo and heavyweight prize fighting all coupled together. I mean, you just got to use every part of your body to its max.
Well, one guy who is doing that is number 10, Larry Ward, trying to hold on. Oh, and he is off of the course. Fred Andrews, number 24, passes him for the 6th position. Ward now even further back, has more work to do and less time to do it in.
So Larry Ward made a big mistake there, and it was a bad one because it's going to push him out of the top 5. It's going to push him way back, as a matter of fact. There's your fourth place rider, 38, Michael Jones, is looking pretty good right now in a heavy racetrack. There's 69, Kyle Lewis sitting in the 5th and transfer spot. So there is Kyle Lewis's crew giving him a little signal there. I don't know what they're telling him, Steve, other than stand on it, because he's got some folks behind him, including number 28, Gene Newbeck out of Brooksville, Florida. He seems to be on the move.
And the second bike in the picture there, number 69, Kyle Lewis. He is in that 5th spot. The yellow flag meaning a rider is down. You see him. He was a little groggy, but walking away. The flag will do a great job on this racetrack.
Although there are no full course cautions here, you got to pay attention all the way around. If you see a yellow flag, you know somebody's down, but they're not going to slow the course down at all. And there is a bobble by 38. That is Michael Jones, and that was a big one because Kyle Lewis moves by to take 4th place. Great racing here at Daytona. We'll be back with more Supercross action right after this.
For the Supercross, there are two things that are paramount. One, of course, is the machine itself. The factory mechanics here in the Honda pits taking care of Jeff Stanton's bike. The other, in that this is a sport of total concentration, is that Jeff Stanton get his head together. And each rider has a different way of doing that, and they always do it in the truck and try to seclude themselves a bit. We're back at heat number 3, Brock.
We sure are, and this is 69 Kyle Lewis and Gene Newbeck. Remember, we talked about him earlier, moving up through the field, and he is now challenging Newbeck on a roll here as this race begins on full. There is Damon Bradshaw, Stephen Everett still sitting in 1-2. They have been right from the start. But notice Newbeck has moved in the 4th spot right behind Kyle Lewis. And look at Larry Ward. Remember that bobble? He's back in 6th spot trying to get up among the top 5. Also, Denny Stephenson, one of the good riders, the number 11 rider, is out of the event.
Well, a terrific race for that 3rd position, and quite a contrast between Gene Newbeck here, number 28, who's a full-fledged AMA expert pro rider, and the man in front of him, Kyle Lewis from California, number 69, who has a pro-am license. Hasn't quite made that jump yet, but in here with the big guy.
Boy, and he's doing a fine job, and anybody can even ride with these guys for a couple of laps. Oh, trouble. That's Kyle Lewis. He's down, and Newbeck will go by him to take 3rd place. Lewis right back up again, going to give chase, but that was a big mistake here as Kyle Lewis drops a spot here. Tough break for him, Steve.
You come around a turn, Brock, and there's a rut that wasn't there the last time you came around it, and you just have no control sometimes. I mean, it's a law of physics here.
Oh, these guys, there's no possible moment where you can give up. In fact, we've seen a bunch of riders bobble on what appears to be relatively easy parts of this course. The jumps, most spectacular, but you don't see these guys go down coming off one of these big jumps. It's usually on this lumpy, bumpy little kind of flat stretches that are so deceiving. And they just, as you say, every lap they're different.
All right, here's the race for 5th. 38, Michael Jones. Number 10, Larry Ward. Ward charging on him over the jumps, but cannot make it stick. Mike Jones, number 38, stays out in front. And we are right now going on to the last lap. The white flag in motocross means exactly what it means in every other kind of event here at Daytona. 1 to go.
And here's the man with the pressure on him, trying to get some mud wiped off his goggles. That's Larry Ward, who, remember, fell back. He's now in 6th spot, trying to get back up amongst the top 5, where he does not have to work through the consolation to get into the big Supercross.
He's going to get behind number 170, Jim Chamberlain there. Larry Ward uses Chamberlain to get the 5th position.
Good move by Larry Ward, Steve.
Oh, absolutely. And up front, though, talking about good moves, this man's got them all. Damon Bradshaw is going to win the 3rd heat here. Boy, this is setting up wonderfully, isn't it? Stanton and Bradshaw, both heat winners going into the final. I love a plan when it comes together.
Oh, Damon Bradshaw styles it a little bit as he comes off that final jump in big way. He'll move on to the final.
And here is that race for 5th. Larry Ward and Michael Jones, number 10 and number 38. Ward appears, if he doesn't make another one of those little bobbles, getting up on the pegs there. He knows that Jones is not that close to him. Jones with a roost off of the jump there is trying all he can, but he's just not going to have enough. You know, imagine if you're a recreational motorcyclist just trying to ride around here at any speed whatsoever and stay on the bike, let alone twisting that right-hand grip just as hard as you can every chance you can. So it will be Larry Ward rounding out the top 5. He will go directly to the main event. Michael Jones, on the other hand, well, he came up just a little bit short. Okay, let's go down to Gary Gerald, who's with the newest motocross superstar, Damon Bradshaw.
Well, you look at the number plate and the bike and you don't see any mud. That means that Damon Bradshaw had an easy time, no traffic. You made it look ridiculously easy.
Well, I hope that's the way I'm able to do it in the main event, but, you know, we'll have to wait and see. It's tough regardless if you are out front or if you're behind on this racetrack. It's definitely a lot better to have a clear racetrack ahead of you. That's what I had.
You look like you're riding, and I can only imagine with so much confidence with this great winning streak.
Well, I feel real good. The bike's fitting me. You know, I'm fitting the bike. All the guys at Yamaha have been working really hard. All my sponsors have been working hard, and, you know, it makes me feel comfortable to go out there and try to win for those guys.
What does it mean now to have improved weather conditions after all of the rain in the early practice?
Well, it feels good. Once it started raining, I didn't make my mind up to ride in the mud, so anything better than rain is perfect.
And, of course, I remember what it's been in the last couple of years. Not good fortune. This year, things looking a lot brighter already.
Yeah, I hope so. If this is the beginning of it, hopefully I'll have a good day here at Daytona.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now that young man has matured since 1 year ago. Damon Bradshaw runs away with heat number 3. Stephen Everett really wasn't close, but he still got number 2, followed by Newman, Lewis, and Ward. Ward was the last guy we have good news for. Michael Jones, Kurt McMillan, Fred Andrews, Chris Coleman, John Dowd did not go directly to the main event. Gary is with a guy, though, who made a tremendous charge in heat number 3.
Now, Gene Newmack, a hard ride for third. You had quite a battle going there through the middle stages of this event to get that third spot.
Yeah, you know, I got a bad pick on the gate, so I didn't get a good start. And the track conditions today, you know, a little rainy in the morning. It's not too many lines out there, so it's good to get a good start. So I was coming up through, and probably Kyle Lewis is one that helped me up the most. Me and him were going at it for a few laps, and slid out in the corner. I passed him 2 laps to go and cruised on to third.
So now you look ahead to the main event, and you've got that spot already insured. It's got to be a nice feeling.
Yeah, it's good. You know, it's like I said, it's real messy out here, so it's good to go right from the heat into the main. So hopefully I'll just get a good start, and with it being one line out there, maybe somebody's out there faster than me, but I can hold them off.
Man, looking for an upset. Steve?
Well, here's a fella he may have a hard time holding off. John Michelle Bale, not back in his truck meditating, but out here getting ready for the big Supercross to come. Stay with us from Daytona. We've got a real 20-lap barn burner coming at you.
Well, we're ready for the granddaddy Supercross of them all, the Daytona Supercross by Honda here. 20 laps around this long and very challenging course, perhaps the most difficult motocross course in the world. And these are the best riders, Steve.
Not a slow one among the 30 starters here in the main event. But there's one rider who finished second here a year ago that wanted to come to Daytona this year in perfect physical condition because it's his last appearance here at the granddaddy of them all. His name is Jeff Ward, but he's hurting. A hand and shoulder injury. Earlier, Brock talked to him.
I know you're hurting, Jeff. 20 laps around this joint is really that's a hard ride for everybody, and it's got to be painful for you. Are you going to try to save yourself to the end and pace yourself a little bit, or what?
No, you got to go off the gate. You know, you got to get out front and run the pace, and hopefully they tire out and you don't. You can ride relaxed. This track's more, I think, on the basis of riding relaxed and going fast than it is like charging real hard and, you know, making a lot of mistakes is going to wear you out. So just I think that being smooth is going to be the most important thing.
And as Jeff kick-starts that Kawasaki, he's got more laps on him than 15 of these other riders. He did not transfer directly from his heat, had to run through the semifinals and earn his way to the gate. Damon Bradshaw, well, he zoomed with the heat wind right up to the starting line. Bradshaw, can he win his first ever Daytona? He's only 19 years of age, but he'd like to get it accomplished early. Now, can Jeff Stanton on the number 2 Honda, can he win his 4th consecutive Daytona? No one else has won more than 2, so already holds that record. And Brock, this, I think, has all the ingredients to be the best Daytona Supercross by Honda we've ever covered.
It's very possible, Steve. I mean, this is such a long event. It's almost half again as long as most of the Supercrosses these riders ride, and conditioning is critical. We're almost ready for a start.
The gate falls and we are underway. One of the most spectacular sights in all of motorsports as they funnel down into turn number 1. And going way wide, a second man started today, number 5, Guy Cooper. But it is Damon Bradshaw and Todd DeHoop up front.
Terrific start. These great riders, not a bobble amongst them except for Cooper, and that wasn't much. There is Damon Bradshaw on the 4. Right behind him, DeHoop.
This is Jeff Natasevich on number 9 and Mike Kudrowski, number 3. Two strong performers from their heat races. They're going faster. They're going harder and flying higher than ever before.
There's your leader, Damon Bradshaw, and right behind him in the 2, that is Jeff Stanton going for win number 4. However, let's not forget, Damon Bradshaw has got a 5-race streak on the line here as well.
And here is the race for the 3rd position, number 25. There he is, Todd DeHoop. DeHoop trying to catch a burn shot there and did a nice job of it. Right behind him is Jeff Natasevich on the number 9, the green bike.
But look at this. Kudrowski, the number 3, begins to challenge Natasevich for that 4th spot. In fact, he's by him, and he got him mid-air, Steve, off that jump.
That was a beauty. Number 25, Todd DeHoop is in 3rd. Kudrowski with that pass is in 4th. Natasevich now pushed back to 5th, and Jean-Michel Bale is in 6th and moving up, the number 1 Honda.
He sure is. He's going to make a move if he can here pretty quickly on Natasevich, who seems to be fading.
He did. He got Natasevich.
He did indeed. So Jean-Michel Bale is on the move, as is this man, Mike Kudrowski.
And here's Kudrowski taking 3rd away from 25. Todd DeHoop, there's passing going on throughout the entire top 10.
So Kudrowski once again comes out of mid-pack just as he did in his heat and is charging.
But Natasevich got hung up there just for a second on the 9 bike, and here's the leader, Damon Bradshaw, with Jeff Stanton right behind him. The crowd is really getting what they paid for here between these two.
Oh, look at Stanton and the young man Bradshaw take care coming off that jump. Remember, this is a bad corner right in here, and this is a very treacherous and deceiving part of this racetrack, where you see there's Bradshaw and right behind him Stanton. What a rider Stanton is. Unbelievable.
Well, with Damon Bradshaw on the Yamaha out front, right now Gary Gerald is with Jeff Stanton's boss from Honda to see how he feels about this.
Dave Arnold, the team manager for Honda. A tremendous battle right now as Jeff Stanton challenges Damon Bradshaw. Would you rather be stalking or be in front at this point?
No, we're fortunate enough that Jeff got off to a good start. Damon got the whole shot. I think Jeff was about 3rd or 4th, and I think at this point in the time, it's best just to follow. It's a long race. I think Jeff will have the advantage of looking at Damon's lines, and someone's going to get tired. I'm not going to, but you know, it's a long enough race that that'll be a factor. So
thank you, Dave.
You're welcome.
Steve.
Oh, Gary, I absolutely agree with Dave. It is Bradshaw who is sitting in the better position of the 2 right now, Brian.
Well, no question, but as he said, Steve, it's going to become a matter of conditioning later on in this race.
All right, there's the race for 5th. Todd DeHoop, 25. Stephen Evans is in here now. Won the bike 111, and Jeff Natasevich has slipped back a bit into the 7th position on the number 9 bike. Jean-Michel Bale, number 1, is currently riding number 4. But we've got a long ways to go here in Daytona. Stay with us.
I'm Brock Yates, along with Steve Evans and Gary Gerald, back at Daytona, where we've completed 10 laps, halfway of this magnificent supercross that turned out to be a duel between Damon Bradshaw and Jeff Stanton, as we expected, Steve.
All right, 10 laps are down. Mike Kudrowski in the 3rd spot, followed by Jean-Michel Bale on the number 1 Honda, and Mike LaRocca in the 5th spot. Here you see how they stack up 6 through 10. But all eyes right now are on Damon Bradshaw and Jeff Stanton. That's the show, buddy.
Without a doubt. There he is, the 4. And I'll tell you what, Stanton has moved up a little bit, Steve. He is narrowing that distance slowly but surely, reeling Damon Bradshaw in.
And let's not forget Mike Kudrowski on the 3 bike and Jean-Michel Bale. They're not that far behind, and they are currently running 3rd and 4th with a long time to go here.
As you said earlier, fatigue becomes a factor now, and one slight bobble by these riders could make a big difference as Bale continues to challenge Kudrowski for that 3rd spot.
Bale has got the better line. He executed here. Jean-Michel Bale has moved into that 3rd position, pushing Kudrowski back. Oh, and Damon Bradshaw may be feeling the pressure. He just hit not 1, not 2, but 3 of those plastic-wrapped hay bales, moved them out of the way, and Stanton is closing in, Brock.
Stanton is blowing by him off that jump, and Jeff Stanton, but here comes Bradshaw back again on the outside. It's head-to-head dueling right down through these jumps, but Jeff Stanton takes it away from him.
Just wonderful competition here at Daytona. Incredible. Bradshaw takes his left hard rock right off the handlebar, like maybe it was cramping a little bit, trying to stretch it for the instant he had in the air.
Yeah, he wasn't doing any style riding or anything like that. Wasn't showing off. He's maybe got a cramp in that left hand.
All right, here is Damon Bradshaw trying to close in, and there was a rider stalled out on the racetrack, and they have to go around him.
They bracketed him. Bradshaw on the inside. Here's Bradshaw back in the lead again. But Stanton right behind him. What a race. As David Bradshaw lost it for a while, but has just seized control of this race one more time. But Jeff Stanton is right behind him.
Oh, yeah, not only is he right behind him, but Stanton is already starting to pick away at the lead that David Bradshaw has just established. The two of them, oh, my goodness, you couldn't ask for any better competition. Right now, let's go down on the sidelines with Gary Gerald.
Well, Keith McCarty is the team manager for Yamaha, watching very closely Damon Bradshaw in this battle where he lost the lead, now gets it back from Jeff Stanton. What's your evaluation at this point?
Well, right now there's a lot of the race left to go. There's about 9 laps, so you know, they're battling really close. We're just going to have to watch the next couple laps and see what happens. But Stanton has his strong points on the track, and Damon has his, so it's probably going to come down to who's the strongest rider at the end.
The fact that Damon has this great hot streak and the confidence going, will that help battle the fatigue factor and the extra length of this event?
Well, I think he's out there to get as many points as he can. You know, the streak is really nice, but our main objective is to get as many points as we can at this race. If we can win it along the way, that would be terrific.
Okay, thanks, Keith.
Thank you.
Steve, as we get to this point of this race now, a couple of things to keep in mind. Normally, when you're in a stadium supercross, a lap is about 50 seconds. Here at Daytona, a lap is about 1.5 minutes. You add that extra time together, and you're talking about running an extra 15 laps in a normal supercross event. So this is where that fatigue factor, this is where the concentration factor can come in. And right now, Jeff Stanton, trying to make it an unprecedented 4 in a row, is battling those factors as he tries to get another win at Daytona.
And nobody, Gary Gerald, is more conditioned physically to win on this particular racetrack, as he has proved the past 3 years.
Well, Steve, we know that Stanton does all kinds of physical training as he moves up on David Bradshaw to challenge.
Bradshaw on the inside, Stanton on the outside. Honda, Yamaha. The rooftop of the rear tire stronger than ever. They're using every bit of the throttle, all of the horsepower of these 250cc two-stroke engines. Just incredible.
Well, it looks as if Bradshaw may have a little more power down the straightaway, Steve, because it's Stanton who challenges in the corners. But Bradshaw seems to get off the corners really well and open up on him on these real bumpy straights.
You can use too much power on this racetrack. You can just be spinning the wheel and going nowhere. It's that balance of how you position your body for maximum traction and how much of that power you manage. He hits another bale. Bradshaw seems in love with those ale bales. He's hit about every one of them.
Oh, he's riding as hard as he can. And here comes Stanton. Stanton fell well back there. After he challenged, Bradshaw seemed to turn the wick up a little bit and move out away from Stanton. But now Stanton starts to come back on him.
Now, Bradshaw is riding out close to those bales because there's a little bit of a ridge there. He can kind of get a shot off of that rim.
All right, there's your leader, David Bradshaw, 19 years old, on his way to a great career in this kind of competition. Lee is out of shape. He's off the racetrack, and Stanton goes by him.
The front end got way in the air, tried to snatch the handlebars out of his hands. It was all he could do to get off it, get his weight forward, and stay on that bike. That was a miracle there that he didn't go down. Oh, but what a break for Stanton.
Here's your leader, riding by a lap rider, Jeff Fred Andrews out of Ohio, as he moves ahead of Damon Bradshaw by about 10 lengths. Unbelievable race here, Steve, as perhaps now that rigid conditioning program that Jeff Stanton undergoes literally 12 hours a day may pay off for him.
Absolutely. It starts every morning with an 8 to 10 mile run. Then he rides a bicycle 25 or 30 miles. Then he rides a training bike, 2 tanks of fuel worth, and these things get good mileage. Then he relaxes by pumping irons at 10 o'clock at night. We'll be back for the close of the Daytona Supercross by Honda right after this.
Supercross action, and that is your race for 4th spot. The 3 Kawasaki, Mike Kudowski. The 7 Kawasaki of Mike LaRocco.
Jeff Stanton and Damon Bradshaw continue to run 1 and 2, but after Bradshaw's bobble, Stanton has a much bigger lead than he enjoyed earlier on. Dubach, Craig, Batasevich, Imogen Cooper, 6 through 10.
Kai Cooper has moved up into the 10th spot after another terrible start. So a guy riding hard, but he's got a long way to make up.
Well, that's your race for 4th, and here is your leader, Jeff Stanton, trying to make it 4 in a row on the number 2 Honda. And he doesn't appear to be at all tired. He told me earlier today, I love a tough, physical, demanding racetrack, and this has all of it.
He's got it. Here is your race for 4th place. That is the 3 rider, Mike Kudowski. Behind him, Mike LaRocco on the 7. a pair of Kawasaki's, a pair of fine riders battling it out here for 3rd and 4th position.
And I'm going to tell you, Brock, for Kedrowski and LaRocco to finish 4th, 5th, those are real high finishes for these guys running in this kind of competition. That'll be good Supercross points for them. They won't be disappointed with that.
No question. To be anywhere in the top 10 among them, what is without question the classiest field of motocross riders in the world. It's a big honor. And, of course, a lot of points for this championship. This is only the one of many races this season.
On to the last lap goes the leader, Jeff Stanton. The huge crowd here at Daytona on their feet. Imagine the pressure on this young man coming in here, the only one to have won 3, and never even saying, well, you can win 4. Yeah, right.
Well, as you said, Steve, I think that conditioning is paying off now. He looks as strong as he was at the start. Who's to know if Damon Bradshaw, that little bobble he had that cost him the lead, was not possibly a measure of his fatigue. But it was a costly one because Jeff Stanton is just opening up here, just riding to victory, apparently. It's going to take a big fall by him to lose this 4th one for him.
And he's starting to style it just a little bit. You know, for the cover of Cycle News and for our video cameras as well. He's not taking any chances, but he's starting to show that he's an artist with a motorcycle as well as a game competitor.
He is. He's he's like a gymnast, like a bull rider. He's like a bronc rider. He does these things so naturally that he and the motorcycle are almost as one.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And you can tell usually if a rider's tired by the way his elbows are. They start to sag. Look at his. They're still up there. They're still aggressive. They're still throwing that motorcycle around. What a tough way to make a living. Whew.
So Jeff Stanton apparently on his way to victory number 4 here at Daytona. Unprecedented. Damon Bradshaw had a 5-race streak going, but not today. Jeff Stanton wins Daytona Supercross number 4.
But there's still some racing to go up there for 4th place. Number 3, Mike Kedrowski. Number 7, Mike LaRocco. And LaRocco is going to, at the very last second, get around Kedrowski. Kedrowski challenges back, but no, he cannot make that work. I believe it is going to be when they get to that checkered flag. Yes, Mike LaRocco will have salvaged 4th place out of this with a dramatic move with less than about a quarter of a lap to go. Sensational racing. He gets the checkered flag. LaRocco gets 4th. Jeff Ward way back in the pack. I'm sure disappointed and probably real sore. He will finish in the 17th position.
He will also finish with guys like Bob Hanna and Brock Glover is among the greats of all time in this sport. A great, great competitor, Jeff Ward, will finish here in 17th place, and the crowd loves him.
And they show with their voices how much they appreciate all the thrills he's provided over the years. And look at this, Jeff Stanton and Damon Bradshaw high-fiving 1 and 2 here in Daytona today. We'll be back to talk to them. It'll be time to spray the bubbly here at Daytona International Speedway. There's your winner of the Supercross, Jeff Stanton. Gary's with him.
Well, the refreshing water, a victory cap, a chance to wipe off some of the grime. And here's the king of Daytona once again. Jeff Stanton, I tell you what, you own this place.
Well, God, I sure hope so. It felt good. Just got in behind him, followed him, and rode a smart race. The best I could do.
How tough was it when you had that mid-race battle when you swapped the lead?
It was tough, but I was just kind of hanging low, waiting for some mistakes to happen. I thought maybe I could outlast him, and I did.
You end the streak of Damon Bradshaw, who had come in with 5 in a row. How badly did you want this one?
Well, I don't want it any badly, and I don't want any other race. It's just another race, and got a heck of a lot more of them to go.
Well, you're on the way once again, back in that familiar groove. We congratulate you on a terrific ride.
Thank you very much.
All right. The man of the hour savors the moment in victory lane as we check in with Brock Yates.
Damon, a great ride. I know you're disappointed, but he got off there just a little bit, and that was just enough to let him bind it. He couldn't get it back. Seemed like the motorcycle slowed down a little bit. Was that the case?
No, it was me a little bit. I was saving a little bit to try to put in a charge at the end, and that's what I done. Just didn't have quite enough. I rode really good. I shouldn't have been out front, but you know, Jeff rode a strong race. He deserves it.
Great first quarter of the race. You're fantastic, and not just that little bobble, just a loss of concentration, was it, or what happened?
No, just a mistake.
Yeah.
And he freely admits it, like champions do. Jeff Stanton is the champion here today for the 4th time. Riding number 2, Damon Bradshaw on the Yamaha in 2nd. Jean-Michel Bale for Honda in 3rd. Mike LaRocco. Mike Kedrowski round out the top 5, followed by Dubak, Matasevich. A great show today from Jeff, Imig, Craig, and Cooper. Brock's with Mike LaRocco.
Tough afternoon.
Yeah, the rain really made track ruddy, and it made it tough for us to ride.
The two leaders broke out, and it was just hard to catch up with them. Was the racetrack about what you expected it to be?
Yeah, I definitely needed to be one of the ones that got out front and broke away. You know, I got a bad start. I slid out, and, you know, I fought through traffic, which on a one-line track like this is really hard to do, and, you know, I gave it 100%, but, you know, I came up short.
Yeah, but it was a great show. Terrific effort. I know you're tired, so we're going to let you get a cold drink and a rest.
All right, thanks.
Okay, pal. Go get him.
Gary's with the man who was the sentimental favorite.
Well, Jeff Ward so many times has come so close at Daytona, and in this, what he has announced to be his final year of Supercross, how hard is it to think about the fact that you may never compete on this circuit again?
Well, with finishes like today, I don't think it'll bother me too much, but it's just tough thinking about it, you know, going in the whole year and just thinking every race is my last race where I'm at, and it's just not the way I'd like to go racing, of course, and you know, of course, it's going to be a time when I have to retire, and this is it, I believe, and it'll be nice to get out of motorcycles and onto something new.
It's been a great streak with 20 career wins and won every one of the last 8 or 9 years. There's probably still another one lurking somewhere before you hang it up for good.
Oh, definitely. This track doesn't suit my style. I went down about 3 times, so I'm not too depressed about my finish, but hopefully I will get one in there before the year's out, and that'll make the whole year, and then just have a happy retirement.
A man who's provided a lot of Supercross thrills over the years. Congratulations, Jeff.
Thank you very much.
So it's Jeff Ward's farewell tour. On behalf of Brock Yates and Gary Gerald, I'm Steve Evans. We hope you had a good time. We certainly did here in Daytona.
The executive producer for American Sports Cavalcade is Harvey M. Palish.